It is Friday, April 17th. Welcome to the show. What do you know? The Islamic Republic of Iran capitulating to the United States today, voluntarily agreeing to back down and completely reopen the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump saying he appreciates that, but our naval blockade stands. All tankers to and from Iran are blocked until you comply and consummate the deal. The price of crude crashing down to earth this morning, stocks surging, yet all the Trump haters seem to be upset by these developments. Yes, I kid you not. What could be upsetting about the United States winning a war? We'll show you.
News Nation's Kelly Meyer just spoke with the president on the phone about these developments. I mean, fervent posts on social media. Kelly, you asked him specifically about all of this breaking news. Share with us the conversation.
Yeah, hey, Marty. So I just got off the phone with the president, and we are here in Las Vegas. We are traveling with him as he makes his way to Arizona today. But he has been posting this stream, as you mentioned, of posts on Truth Social. So I called him and asked and just got right to the point because the posts sound as though this has been agreed to. And when I asked, did Iran agree to the main sticking point here of stopping enriching uranium, which is meaning getting rid of their ability to create these weapons, he said yes. So I said, did they agree to stop enriching uranium? He said they agreed to everything. And then he asked me, are you surprised? So I asked him, are you surprised? And he said, I'm not surprised by anything. And then he said, I'll see you later. And the call ended.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, huge news breaking this morning. The United States now firmly in the winning position against the Islamic Republic of Iran. The Iranians feeling the squeeze of the U.S. Navy blockade and announcing this morning that they are voluntarily ending their tolling system, demining the Strait of Hormuz, and that it is now completely reopened for everyone, meaning no longer threatening to lob missiles, drones, or put sea mines at all these passing ships. That announcement setting the world on fire this morning. The risk premium priced into the oil futures vanishing instantly. Oil down over 10% at the open. Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi posting to X that the Strait of Hormuz is now open, writing, in line with the ceasefire in Lebanon, the passage for all commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz is declared completely open for the remaining period of the ceasefire. Oil crashing even lower on the report.
To never close the Strait of Hormuz again, it will no longer be used as a weapon against the world, President Donald J. Trump. And let's take a look at the markets taking off like a rocket on this news this morning that there has been a decision to reopen the strait. That came from the Iranian foreign minister, confirmed by our side as well. And you see that post from the president. 49,622 right now, Bill. 50,000 is in reach.
It wasn't so much that they got a sense of what the Iranians were going to say about this, but it was just they were looking at everything that happened. I mean, we've talked about this. I peeked in right before this hit, and I think that this just shows that Trump won. Trump won, and the Arab nations won. The Arab nations with which we've been united since his first term won as well, because they saw Iran as the main enemy. Iran lost. China lost big time. They were losing money. They didn't want to switch to another supplier because they'd have to pay a lot more. The EU lost because they didn't pitch in to help at all with this. And I think Democrats lost, the one who were just totally over the top, saying there's no way this is going to. The blockade was a brilliant move by Donald Trump. That united the United States with China. It united the United States with the EU that didn't have enough jet fuel, for goodness sakes, because of the block.
We are getting close, very, very close to mission accomplished here, folks. And it didn't turn into a forever war. We're not still in Iran. There's no boots on the ground. But President Trump going for the jugular in a series of rapid-fire Truth Social posts, writing this: Iran has just announced that the Strait of Hormuz is fully open and ready for full passage, but the U.S. Navy blockade will remain in full force and effect as it pertains to Iran only until such time as our transaction with them is 100% complete. This process should go very quickly and that most of the points are already negotiated. Thank you for your attention to the matter, President Donald J. Trump. Yes, the president clearly knows what he's doing, folks. Before he posted that, by the way, the media was already asking questions. Should the U.S. end the Navy blockade now that Iran capitulated? Yes, we should. No, we shouldn't. What's the best course? They were debating this with experts on their panel. President Trump immediately knowing the answer. No, the U.S. Navy blockade remains until they sign the deal. Trump also writing, Iran, with the help of the USA, has removed or is removing all sea mines. A great and brilliant day for the world. So far, it looks like the United States is 100% in the driver's seat here. Iran just voluntarily admitted defeat in the Strait of Hormuz. They gave away their only point of leverage, doing so because they're running out of money and time. That's what just happened. This blockade is costing them hundreds of millions per day. And the president, on a tear this morning, folks, just now posting, the USA will get all nuclear dust created by our great B-2 bombers. No money will exchange hands in any way, shape, or form. Wow. This deal is in no way subject to Lebanon either, but with the USA, will separately work with Lebanon and deal with the Hezbollah situation in an appropriate manner. Israel will not be bombing Lebanon any longer. They are prohibited from doing so by the USA. Enough is enough. Thank you, President DJT. Israel is prohibited from doing so by the USA. Enough is enough. Holy freaking moly. The president ending the fake narrative of his woke right critics. You know who they are. The people who've been claiming this is a lose-lose situation for the U.S., that Trump got himself into something he can't get out of, that he's going to be forced to put boots on the ground. This is going to turn into World War III, that the Jews made him do it. Something we never said on this channel, not because we're Zionists. The contrary. I consider Israel a good ally, but that's it. That's all they are. They're an ally. Nothing more, nothing less. Anyone claiming Trump was tricked into this by Israel, that Israel controls the United States, it's hogwash, folks. It wasn't even worth repeating. And we saw the evidence of this yesterday after President Trump pushed the Israelis to accept a 14-day ceasefire with Lebanon. That alone showed who's really in charge, and it ain't Bibi Netanyahu, which, let's be honest, is only a surprise to people who blindly believe what they read on social media, all those silly woke right talking points. The Israelis, they were pissed yesterday after Trump announced that Lebanon ceasefire, which makes sense that the president of the United States, the most powerful country in the world, can push Israel to do something it doesn't want to do. That's how power works. And Trump just ending that narrative completely with this one post. Let's read that one more time. No money will exchange hands in any way, shape, or form. This deal is in no way subject to Lebanon either, but the USA will separately work with Lebanon and deal with the Hezbollah situation in an appropriate manner. Israel will not be bombing Lebanon any longer. They are prohibited from doing so by the USA. Enough is enough. How will the Doomer podcast crew spin their way out of this one? In all seriousness, though, this is a good trial balloon, a good way to test the water, see everyone's reaction, because the Doomers who turned on Trump since this war started, those of them who just double down are clearly bad actors, in my opinion. But those of them who admit they overreacted, who admit this is looking to be a good outcome so far, probably are honest brokers. And interestingly, Joe Kent out with a surprising post today, writing this: it appears that a historic deal is within reach, and it will hold if President Trump's willing to enforce the restrictions he's placed on Israel. This post indicates a good start, but it must be followed by actually limiting U.S. military aid to Israel. I think that's a fair post by Joe Kent. And after these reports, we saw Axios, a far-left publication, report that the United States is mulling a $20 billion cash for uranium deal with Iran. Axios writing this, that according to 2 U.S. officials and 2 additional sources briefed on the talks, that the U.S. and Iran are negotiating over a 3-page plan to end the war, including a 20-year moratorium on nuclear enrichment, and as part of the MOU, Iran would be allowed to have nuclear research reactors for the production of medical isotopes, but would pledge that all its nuclear facilities would be above ground. The existing underground facilities would remain out of commission, and adding that the U.S. would release $20 billion in frozen Iranian funds in return for Iran giving up their stockpile of enriched uranium. Oh, is that so? Well, minutes after Axios dropped that report, President Trump correcting it No money, he says, no money will exchange hands in any way, shape, or form. Clearly not letting the press gaslight their way into another fake narrative like they did a few weeks ago. If what the president is saying here turns out to materialize, it would be a total victory for the United States, a total moratorium on enrichment, and they turn over their enriched stockpile. The only thing missing would be regime change. Either way, it's a pretty good day for the United States. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you real soon.